Britain's former Prince Andrew has been arrested on suspicion of misconduct in public office. He's facing accusations of sending confidential government documents to Jeffrey Epstein. Eric Shawn is joining us live with what we know on this. Hi, Eric.
Hi, Bill. Well, it is a stunning arrest. Former Prince Andrew taken into custody on suspicion of misconduct in public office. Thames Valley Police showed up at his Norfolk residence this morning and arrested him. Police investigating if he sent confidential government reports to Epstein. The revelations coming from the release of the Epstein files here in the United States. Police say Andrew's cell just has a bed and a toilet in it, and he will be interviewed about the allegations. If he is eventually charged and convicted at trial, he faces life in prison. When not identifying him by name, police said, quote, "It is important that we protect the integrity and objectivity of our investigation as we work with our partners to investigate this alleged offense." Emails to Epstein show that Andrew sent details of official trips and confidential briefings he had while he served as Britain's trade envoy in 2010 and 2011. He has also been long accused of sexual misconduct with underage girls. He has always denied that. Epstein victim Virginia Giuffre said Epstein trafficked her to Andrew and that she was raped on 3 occasions. Her lawsuit against him was settled. She wrote a book chronicling her saga and sadly committed suicide in 2024. Her family reacting to the arrest of Andrew by saying, quote, "Today our broken hearts have been lifted at the news that no one is above the law, not even royalty." At Buckingham Palace, Andrew's brother, King Charles, said that he does support the investigation, saying, quote, "I have learned with the deepest concern the news about Andrew Mountbatten Windsor and suspicion of misconduct in public office. What now follows is the full, fair, and proper process by which the issue is investigated in the appropriate manner and by the appropriate authorities." The arrest happened to come on Andrew's 66th birthday and is just the latest in the fallout from the scandal. Already several prominent politicians and business people across the globe connected to Epstein have resigned amid speculation that more names could be made public and there could be even more arrests. Bill?
Yep, we'll see where it goes from here. Eric Shawn, thank you for that live report. And joining us now by phone is Royals expert Shannon Felton Spence. She's also a former head of politics and communications for the British Consulate General. Shannon, good morning to you. This is obviously sending shockwaves through Britain today. Give us your initial reaction to this news.
Yeah, I mean, my initial reaction is that I think that this was coming. I think the clock was ticking down. Once that last crop of Epstein files was released, it was pretty clear that they were going to be able to pick him up on something related to his work as trade envoy, which he did about 15 years ago. And, you know, this morning, waking up to see the news, it feels like when they pick up and get Al Capone on tax evasion charges. It's not what we all assumed was going to be in the Epstein files, but there's something there nonetheless.
And can you explain to us, just because it's a little bit of a different system, what entity actually arrested him?
Yeah, so the police arrested him, right? But this is in full cooperation with the fact that he has been stripped and removed of all of his titles and stylings as a member of the monarchy. So several weeks ago, the king came out with a statement that said, we would support any process that there would need to be going forward related to information that was released. And we are now seeing the tail end of that, which is an actual arrest at his home.
Shannon, there's obviously been a big thirst for accountability for anybody who had any kind of ties to Jeffrey Epstein. How's the British public reacting to this?
Well, listen, I mean, the Brits are getting rocked with Epstein connections and what has come out in those files that the Justice Department released. But it's really important to note that what they're getting rocked with is allegations of misconduct in public office. So the former ambassador, Peter Mandelson, and now the former Prince Andrew, they're both, what they're being accused of is sharing confidential government economic information with Epstein. It's not related to, sexual allegations. And so that is a really key difference here. Like I said, you assume that one thing is going to be in the Epstein files, but when you get in there and you uncover sort of the network and all the nefarious things that were going on, it's not actually maybe what we had all assumed it was going to be. So, they're accused of real deal crimes. sharing confidential government information is certainly a crime, and that is what is really rocking the British public right now. But I think that there's definitely a need for accountability. You know, the government to the highest level, the prime minister is feeling the heat domestically over this, and so they are moving swiftly with action to make sure that this is cleaned up and that justice is served.
Shannon, Anglophiles like myself, searching up my brain for the history of previous times when brothers of the royal family have either not gotten along or had disdain for each other, and even had basically no relationship. Can you give us a sense of how King Charles is processing all of this? He said he would not get involved. This is a couple of weeks ago, I guess, and today, just how does that work in terms of this family, what they've been through?
Yeah, Dana, I mean, it's an important question, and I think I encourage people always to see this through the eyes of their own family, right? Like, they are a business. The royal family is a family business, but they're also a family, and they have disagreements, and they have personal histories that we are not aware of. It is long documented. I mean, the difference, right, is that there are biographies that are written about this. But, you know, the difference here is that we can all sort of interpret from what we hear and what we watch on The Crown of what's going on. But it is certainly long documented that Charles and Andrew have not gotten along. It is long documented that Andrew was the Queen's favorite son and that she really doted on him in a way that she was much tougher on Charles, and that has created a lot of resentment. But it also created this sort of, I'm trying to find what the right word would be, this elitism that runs very deep in the spare, which is Andrew. And so there have been stories for many, many years of Andrew being a jerk on public visits and treating people badly and treating the staff badly and just really being not necessarily a nice person. And the opposite is true of Charles. People love Charles and Camilla when they work with them. They find them to be very down to earth, very caring, very thoughtful. And, you know, that is the kind of thing that also creates tension in a family business, let alone just in a family.
Really good point, Shannon. Thank you so much for being with us. This news just breaking this morning. Prince Andrew arrested on suspicion of misconduct in public office. And this all goes back to his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. And then that release of all that information, those files, has now led to this moment. We'll have much more on this as the day goes along. Thank you, Shannon.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.